Good morning. Greetings. Guten Tag to alle Falava. This is Dr. Snow Brown speaking to you all. A very blessed good morning to all of you, especially my snow shepherds. All right. Yes, I hope you all had an exciting, dynamite, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day celebrations, as you all saw, what I shared on my so-called posting. Anyway, that is part of what it means to be a natural pastor. Anyway, let me just take this opportunity, very brief moment in time, to connect with my so-called, with my fourth sister, the fourth sibling, who, as I've just been told yesterday, was it this morning, that she has gone back to Australia. Well, that's that. Sadly. So we never, it's just as well that we didn't get to catch up or, have a last few words. I think everybody that has, siblings, younger siblings, if you're the eldest, you'd want to have your last few words. That's correct. To patch up any unfinished business, but also, not to have a sort of bad ill feelings. That's correct. But hey, it's okay, because it's not the end of the world. I understood my sibling. I understand my sister really well. Through my nickname, Yogi Bear. I got to understand her for the last 40 odd years. My younger siblings, I think you will soon have learned, they've never really been that close to the eldest. That's right, to me. I think when we were younger, we had issues, we had conflicts. They were always knocking on me to my parents. That's correct. And they were always ganging up together. So the five of them, the six, youngest of our seventh sibling was born here in New Zealand. So 6 of us came from the islands. 17th of December, 1982. Immigrated to New Zealand. So as I was growing up, like I said, 6 of my siblings were always very close. That's correct. I think that when they are, next in line to each other. So my second sister was more the eldest. Was considered to be the eldest in my family of 7. I guess what I'm saying is that my other 5 siblings, we're closer to my second sister. And so, naturally, she was the first one to be married. 7 of us, that's correct. So she took on board the responsibility of looking after my siblings whenever they came to the islands. Her husband used to live in the islands. That's great, until they immigrated here. And of course, 4 of her so-called children are all born, Kiwi born. That's correct. She gets pregnant over there in the islands and comes over here and has them. That's correct. Well, I'm sure that you all have your own siblings. I guess even after 40 odd years, at the age of 50, I never expected that my sister, that even at this age, she's probably heading towards mid-40s and so forth, that she still had this sort of, an air of bitterness, some sort of, baggage of some sort that she still hasn't, unpacked, or hasn't let go of. So whatever she held about, feelings, ill feelings, or, the negative stuff that she, kept in her so-called heart condition all these years, that I don't know about. Obviously, she hasn't sorted out. She hasn't learned to clean it out. Obviously not. The alcohol, issue. You know what? This is coming from big sister. That's correct. Remember, I've never been considered to be your big sister. We were never that close, actually, but I will say this to my younger sibling, since she's my fourth sibling, fourth sister. Now, deep down, that's correct. Even though we had this little tiff, little hiccup, that's correct. That obviously wasn't supposed to happen. But, you know, shit happens. I guess I didn't expect that you would still be the same. You hadn't moved on from the alcohol, you know, issue, the alcohol problem. That's correct. And of course, I didn't expect that she was going to attack me. Little, you know, jump at me. That's correct. But I guess this is the thing you learn about individual, because all my siblings, each and every one of us are special in our own way, and we're so unique. We're also very strong individuals. That's correct. We're very strong-minded and independent, and we're also very set in our own ways. And for most of my younger siblings, it was either their way or the highway. So they always thought that they were always in the right, and I was always in the wrong. Well, they always thought that they knew better than me, and the eldest sister. That's correct. I guess they never really listened to anything I said. And I'll be very frank as well. My cousin, who is the third in line of all the cousins, Amanda Baker. That's correct. This was the Baker Bikers. The rat bag. That's right, a lot of the so-called, out of all the cousins. Your cousin was considered to be, you know, like, she's the eldest of 5, you see. And I guess the difference, if I have to compare my situation between I being the eldest of 7 siblings, that's correct, and my cousin is the eldest of 5 siblings, right? In the circumstances where I went upstairs, that's right, to check on what's going on between my 2 sisters, second eldest sister and the 4th siblings, who were now in verbal, you know, confrontation upstairs. And my mum was in a verbal tirade. I guess, no, everybody was not in clarity. Everybody was confused. But I think everybody was I think it doesn't help if everybody had been drinking for they were all tipsy. That's correct. I guess I didn't expect in the situation that they would yell and scream at me and tell me off. That's correct. I guess I was expecting them to listen. And hang on a second, obey. That's correct. Obey what the eldest is trying to tell you. Well, it's hard to do that. Like I said, each and every one of our 7 kids are so independent, but so strong-minded. We're set in our own way. And you can see that, well, your 4th sibling didn't want to listen. Your 2nd sibling, eldest, didn't want to listen. And now your mother, who was actually the one that was causing the whole thing, was now jumping at me as well. So they all jumped the gun in my direction. In a defensive way. Telling me to shut up. That's correct. And you know, to go away and blah, blah, blah. Well, I think that's when I started to give a piece of my mind. That's right, now I didn't expect, of course, that my 4th sibling, I refer to as Yogi Bear, to attack me, you know, like, oh my God, where'd you get that kind of attitude? That's great. Well, she now wanted to, you know, assault me. That's great, but she wanted me to shut up. Now, I think that's the wrong move to make. For a 50-year-old meek sovereign king, let alone a natural bastard, that's great, who is German. I actually think she's more coconut, but she might look very Pakya, Now you can imagine now how heated it was. Now we're in full swing of, the sort of exchange of fiery sort of, attitudes. That's great. The next thing you know, she's charging over towards me. That's great. The next thing you know, my mother's out, and the second sister they're all coming out. And next thing you know, my brother-in-law runs upstairs. That's great. And we're all in this sort of struggle, the usual story. I guess, under the circumstances, I thought I'd walk right into a trap. I'd walk right into somebody else's trap, somebody else's problem. That's great. Maybe I invited, myself into the problem. I added, this great fuel to the fire, or so to speak. That's great. But I mean, I didn't expect that everybody else would kind of jump at you. That's right. So who is to blame? I guess if we have to go, because I'm trying to reflect back and reassess how could I have better responded to such a situation. Well, if my second sister, and her husband, have been spending a lot of, especially the husband, spending a lot of time at their home, 24/7, while my sister is at work, and my mother has lived with them for the last 3 years on and off, then they would know very well that if she has a tantrum, if my mother has an anxiety attack of some sort, then they should know, they should be able to read the signs, and let alone, red flag should go up and say, you know what, hang on a second, we better intervene right away. We better go upstairs, both of us, and get that sister, Yogi Bear out of the bedroom, lock the door, and let our mommy deal with her so-called issues inside her own bedroom. But what happened was my second sister went upstairs, and she was in full motion of this kind of like a ping pong confrontation with your sister. She's high on alcohol. She's completely out of a drug. She's not registering in her head that, hello, you need to stop what you're doing, and you need to come back downstairs. Now, maybe your sister wasn't clear in her communications. Maybe we need to say it in a different way. In all honesty, I hold my so-called sister and her husband accountable for what happened. That's correct. Because they should have rung the police. That's correct. That way, they wouldn't need to manhandle me. That's correct. And nobody would need to scream at each other and yell and blah, blah, blah. That's correct. Remember, it's not my problem. That's correct. Oh, I mean, my sister doesn't usually come, every year. This is like a one-off. And I haven't seen her in 10 years or so, or even more than that. That's correct. So this was quite unexpected. That's correct. But it could have been easily avoided by, say, your sister and her husband. Actually, pulling her out. Pull my sister. The moment you hear that there's something's going on upstairs, right, that is a red flag and indication, you know what, we need to take some actions right away. Otherwise, it looks like that situation that's going on upstairs is going to escalate. And it did. Now, I don't know if that was quite deliberate. I'd hate to think that your brother-in-law, your second sister, who was almost 50, maybe another 2 years or so, and your mother, who started, who caused the whole thing, and then your fourth sibling, I'd hate to think that they actually set you up. Well, they're trying to test me. That's great. As to, well, let's just see what Big Sis is going to do in the situation. Well, I hate to think that might have been a practical joke. Because, you know what? I'll be very honest. Dad siblings who are so devious and are probably more English than German Scottish. That is the kind of sick joke, pranks that they actually do pull. And they have a good laugh, and if they think it's funny, that's correct. But under the circumstances, it wasn't funny because, Well, somebody could have ended up dead. Somebody could have ended up dead. Or my mother, who was busy pulling my necklace and the so-called bracelet on my left-hand side, I could have actually pushed her down the stairs. That's correct, because remember, this is way up there in the stairs. Or I could have turned around. I could have assaulted my brother-in-law, my sister, or, lashed out at all four of them. Next thing you know, that's great. It would have been pretty bloody by then. That's how dumb and how unprepared. But it looks like, hey, if that's the kind of thing that Mummy Dearest is used to, she has her anxiety attacks. She has her usual, your brother-in-law and your sister should have had a backup plan. Plan B, that's correct. And all I needed to do was possibly, you know what? This has nothing to do with me. Oh, just stay down here, downstairs. And mind my own business. I trust that my sister is going to handle the situation or the circumstance, the uncomfortable, whatever, this kerfuffle that's going on upstairs. But the more I listened to it, it got worse. It got worse and worse and worse. That's correct. So I guess on the one hand, your sister and your brother-in-law are really not that smart at all. I mean, if you're going to be a caregiver, or a babysitter, to Mummy Dearest, you have got to have some sort of plan B. That's great. But when you have a difficult sister like that who has an alcohol issue, has an issue when she drinks, it's correct, comes from Aussie, you should also have a backup plan. Can you imagine if we had to call the police, or I had actually called the police? In fact, it would have been far more effective to call the police. Because then your sister would have, compute in her brain that she's being difficult, but there's an issue, there's a problem. That's correct. But then they would arrest her and take her down to the CAT team. The CAT. That's correct. The drug and alcohol people. And the mental health people as well. That's correct. And then next thing you know, they probably would have had to charge her with something or process her in the system where then now she cannot return back to Australia. Because Australia's not going to have her back. That's correct. Unless she's done, some sort of alcohol program or something. Or they could actually deport her somewhere else. So I guess the lesson to be learned from this so-called uncomfortable, which is actually normal, because it happens to every family. It is normal for family members, to be more drunk, during Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. It is quite normal. What is not normal is for somebody to be annoying the hell out of your Mummy Dearest. That's correct. Where she's telling her, you know what, that's enough. Can you stop doing that? And they're still annoying them. So that's not normal to do that. That's correct. But the signs are there. The signals are there. But you see, everybody else had been drinking quite heavily, apart from me, of course. But I guess under the circumstances, I think we were all in shock and surprised as well. But I hope that my sister has learned her lesson as well. That she does have a problem. And I think that was one of the issues why they couldn't respect me. That she couldn't respect me all these years. She had her own problems. I had mental issues in terms of my depression that I eventually recovered from. But I had all these other issues too that I needed to, to overcome. But it was very tough for me. I went through tribulations after tribulations and hardships. My sister really hasn't been through, the ringer, like hell and back, like the way that I have been. So I've got a lot of experience in dealing with difficult situations and domestic disputes and whatnot. She knows. She's been there. She got a history. That's great. But I just want to wish my sister all the very best. Today I did my damnedest and my bestest to pray that prayer, the Divine Reversal prayers, and even the other prayer by Katie Sawyer on your behalf. And that's just to send a blessing in your way. Meaning, I hope the next time that I see you, that you're going to be a transformed person, completely brand new. That's correct. Stronger, wiser, more patient. That's great. But calmer, but in control, minus the alcohol. And also no bitterness and no anger, because there's a lot of anger. The way when I heard you, that's right, you attacked me. And I hope that the next time you will learn to respect that I'm the eldest of the 7 of you. That you ought to respect. That's correct. Just like you all respect cousin Amanda. That's correct. You know, I guess the one thing that I learned about my cousin, and she's not my cousin, of course, is that her younger siblings respect her authority and accept her authority. Meaning, if she tells the younger ones to listen, and if she tells them off, that's great. They back down, is straight, back down, that's great. Silence. There is respect. But with me and my siblings, probably because my parents let the younger siblings get away with a lot all these years. They were never really disciplined, the way that they disciplined you, that's correct. More so than maybe they favored my younger siblings and felt the need to spoil them and let them get away with a lot. Well, go figures, look what happens. Look, yeah, shit happens now. It's not my job to tell my 4th sibling, that's correct, how to run her life, how to conduct her affairs, and how to do something about her attitude as well, that's correct. And fix her so-called, the demon, try to help herself with the alcohol issue. Thankfully, I don't have any issues with alcohol. I'm a non-smoker. I don't have any of that issue. What I only have is that I have issues from people harming me. And this is not a figure of imagination, of course. And trying to take advantage of me and using me for their so-called criminal protocols or exploiting, experimenting, but more so taking advantage of me. That's correct. Because, well, I'm a Trevoranus, of course. But of course I am also a steward. More so a steward. But a real Trevoranus with the so-called brand new last name, Brown. So I hope that the next time that we can have a better communication, a better conversation. One where I get to hear the real Yogi Bear will say Koki. That's correct. Where I get to see the real Koki hidden inside in that so-called, the camouflage and the mask or the so-called, the hurt mask, the painful suit that I saw. That's not the real Koki that I know of. That's the one that is so hurt and full of pain. But I'm pretty sure there's another one. There's another version of her, a better version of my sister that I've yet to see. And when I do, I hope it will be everything I'd always dreamed of. And my hope for her is that, well, you got the man of your dreams. I'm pretty sure that he's got a lot of patience. He must be a very lucky man. That's great. Not a lucky man, but a very special man. That's great. Well, not to ditch your white ass. That's great. And dump you, like most men. But to stand there, that's great. And give you the support. And also try to be a compliment and transform you. Because my sister, no, she's still what? She still hasn't quite, I haven't seen the butterfly that she is. And deep down, my sister is very capable of many, many things. She just hasn't never really realized it. And we don't ever want to say that when it's too late. So the next time, never take for granted. Never take for granted. What gifts, what talents you get. But what precious time you have with somebody, whether it be with the eldest, somebody like me, that I know all my younger siblings, would probably think that I'm such a loser because I don't amount to anything else. If only they knew, that's great, except they haven't been blessed the way that I've been blessed. They haven't been that privileged at all. But most of them are lucky, though. They found their match. Let's just hope that your matches don't abandon any of you. And don't forget not to take for granted that each and every one of you is a treasure. Because Dad isn't around. To give you the blessing that you probably needed to earn, which I have. But I do want to say to my, Yogi Bear, you never liked that nickname. You know what? I never liked either the nickname of Malila, which is what, Heinz Rounders and the rest of the family like to call me. I never liked it because even my mother calls me that nickname. I don't look like a Malila, but I don't feel like one either. What I do know is that my Lord gave me an even better version, a better name and a title for myself, which I'm trying my damnedest to keep up with it, little I retained it. Because there are people out there that are jealous of my knighthood and my so-called intellectual properties and everything that I have created, not through my own effort, but through my Lord and the guardian angel. But I wish you all the very best, dearest Yogi Bear. And if you get offended by Yogi Bear, well, you'll just have to lump it. Take it on the chin. Take it on the chin. Just like how I took it on the chin. That's correct. When you attack me like that, disrespect me in front of you, that's correct. But I mean, it's understandable. I'm used to you. But the only thing that I hope is that you don't ever chuck it down the gurgler, everything you got. That's correct. Even the blessings that come your way. I hope you never throw it to swines, but I hope you never waste them either. May you be blessed insurmountably, where one day I hope to hear that there will be wedding bells coming your way, which would be such a nice blessing indeed. To see my sister, I know it's hard going, finally walk down the aisle. That's correct. Right. In the name of the Father, the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.